It's like a narrative book. Yeah, it's live, fun. You know this is the day that I stream, right? Yes. Yes, it is. Oh, good evening. Good evening. Where is my nightbot? What? Sorry. Okay. So, Nightbot doesn't really want to join today. Alright. It has been an eventful evening, to say the least.
The clouds parted over the
Already
Isles of
exhausted.
Boreas. It was
So
time
we're
to
continuing
choose.
with Stories of Path
The
of Destinies.
rebellion was in trouble.
Trying to get a
Ravens
couple
were
more
scouting for the
stories
secret
revealed
rebel
tonight.
base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky
Episode
Ripper had
6
surfaced.
is already out there.
Renata
I
knew
recorded one
that
over the
using it
weekend,
could go catastrophically
and
wrong.
I'll probably be doing that.
But he was sure he could figure out
within
how
the
to
next
use it
couple
safely.
of
Also,
weeks to
a
finish this
temple
off.
had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing.
Oh,
Of course.
Lapino.
Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
So, I am looking to make a couple decisions tonight. I have a guide up, because if you look over here, I have a ton that I still need to do. So, I'm trying to use an online guide a little bit. So, I think we're going to do this one.
Every child
And
knew
this
about
should
the Sky
unlock the
Ripper.
very first story.
The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces deep. And then, this Emperor's horrific sacrifices had brought it back to the surface. Renato wasn't exactly sure how to use the legendary weapon. But surely...
So we've seen a lot of this already. If you haven't, there are YouTube videos up. Just trying to get this done, because there's a lot to do in it. And
as he set foot on the island,
I'm trying
Renato
to,
couldn't
hopefully
help
next
feeling a
Monday,
bit
start some Hitman
curious.
stuff.
was
After I get
Lapino
some,
still waiting to be rescued? No.
After I get some more
He was
experience
probably
on
drinking champagne with the Ravens.
figuring out how to
Ravens drink
kill
champagne?
targets in the most
Did
creative
rabbits?
way that I can.
Renato felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Renato never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it?
So I only think I have a couple
Can you
trophies
tell if
left.
someone's far
Actually, I think
away,
there's about 2.
or just really small?
And these are the 2 that I'm trying to get. One of them is to unlock all of the stories, and then the other one's to get all of the abilities. Which isn't too difficult, you just need to replay a couple of the stories a few times to get the most XP out of it. But these
The
other ones that
people
have
who had
multiple
built this
endings,
castle
you know,
Did they
It's best to
even
get
know
these done
what
out of the way.
monstrous weapon lay hidden within their walls? The Sky Ripper could destroy anything it touched, or so the legend said. As the Transcendent Emperor had fought the Lost Gods, thousands had died. But Renato had been through wars. The only merciful war was a short one. Those flames really bring out your eyes.
Sorry, trying to, there's a trophy to do all the sword abilities, and I think I failed on that one real hard. Oh god.
Interrupted story time. Of course, the lead raven. Now we'll never find out how it ended.
I feel like I'm killing things way too fast to do the final part. Is over here. Stuff that I don't need.
How could you convince a firewall you're its friend?
Kinda close, but not really. You have to use like all the sword powers, the dash.
See? With enough leverage, you could go anywhere.
The hook, counter, use an enemy as a shield, launch an enemy, launch against a wall. So you need a good bit of enemies there. I did not have it.
There it was. Sky Ripper's armature.
Okay, so we have the
Stuff
Sky
that dreams
Ripper
are made of.
already.
Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device
So we have to
was
find
intricate.
Zenobia, attack the
No one
outpost, and meet
alive
the
had the
council.
skill to make a thing like it.
Easy.
How is it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Sky Ripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him. Renato asked himself why he changed course to confront Zenobia. He'd no
Because
idea.
that's how you unlock the first story.
Sometimes he would just do things, and he could never figure out why he'd done them. Usually, they worked out. After all, he was a hero. The truth is, though, you wanted to see her, wasn't it? It had been a dozen years since Swordfu School. He'd followed every rumor about her, every scrap of news. Not that he still loved her. After all, she was his enemy. No, it was solely because know your enemy. All right, maybe he should stop pretending. He knew exactly how she felt about it. But their love affair always ended with a tragic death. Unless maybe he could find a way to dodge tragedy. Surely he could. Couldn't he? That had gone rather well, actually.
So, if you haven't been following the game, or if this is the first time you've seen it, it's a game that's kind of built around like a storybook. By going through and making certain decisions, you get certain outcomes. We've learned multiple truths. One of them is that Lupino is a traitor. Another one that Zenobia is still in love with us.
Bernardo had opened a chest, and a jack-in-the-box jumped out.
Frogs can become
Jack-in-the-boxes,
like
they gave him the Wiggins.
really powerful and basically turn into Thanos after a little bit. It's pretty interesting. And like I said, I don't actually remember how I got this game. It might have been free on the network. Could have been on sale. No idea. I wouldn't be able to tell you at all.
He couldn't do
because I have such
worse
a
with Zenobia
big backlog
than
of
with the
free
core,
games that I haven't
did he?
played yet, so it's kind of just guess and find out later.
The market. It was going to be full of gogglers, wasn't it? Oh, it would have been so much more fun before the war. When the worst thing that could happen to you was getting fleeced buying a rug. Renato wasn't entirely sure how he was going to capture Zenobia. She'd be expecting him. And he didn't have Lupino to cook up a clever plan. Why was it again that he hadn't got the core? Maybe because the results tended to be disastrous. These streets were familiar. His Swordfu School was closed now. He had been down that street 1,000 times. He knew that pub. He knew that alley. He knew the alley behind it much too well. No wonder Zenobia had chosen to invade this island herself.
The combat in this is pretty fun. Like, I have enjoyed going through it. And obviously this is like maybe my 6th time through everything.
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship,
Yeah.
making no sound at
6
all.
episodes means 6 times.
Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom.
That makes no sense. It's a trap.
Shouted the Emperor.
I'll meet you at the outpost, and I'll bring my interrogators.
If Renato came face to face with the Emperor, maybe he could assassinate him. But maybe it would be smarter and safer to turn Zenobia against her father. You're lying,
No.
she said.
Kill that Emperor.
Somehow you're lying. The spell hadn't worn off yet. He had to tell the truth. The trick was in making sure she wouldn't believe it. The core is perfectly safe, he said. And he tried his hardest to sound sincere. So is the Iblistone. In fact, I was trying to get them myself. Fine then, interrogators it is, she said angrily. I
Good.
gave you a chance. The Emperor's interrogators were not especially gentle, even by Weasel standards. Fortunately, Zenobia had locked him in the guest quarters on her ship. And she'd forgotten it had a toilet that, like all skyship toilets, could be vented into the abyss. This was not the sort of slippery fox he wanted to be. But
Nice.
just as they were about to land, he threw the latch, wrinkled his nose, and leapt through the open latrine.
He went through the poop chute. That's right, I said it. Toilet humor.
It was a short, safe landing. At least this part of the Nexus hadn't changed too much. Zenobia had been taking him to the Imperial outpost. She'd never expect him to go there by himself. Well, maybe she would. You never knew with her. Power. Ferocity. Perhaps was a woman. Buy it a drink.
Bless you. Sorry, it's been a long day.
Kill her! Kill the rebel! Call it, Raven. Eat the rebel! Call it another.
Nope.
Bernardo
They need, like,
knew
a big
Zenobia,
battle.
and Zenobia knew him. She'd suspected a trick. Now he'd vanished. She would probably guess that was his plan all along. Perfect. Maybe she wouldn't use the Sky Ripper. At least not without taking it to the scientists at the observatory first. Meanwhile, the Emperor would be coming to the outpost personally. This could be good.
So you'll notice I'm skipping just an Astro chest. The reason is because I have all the materials and everything I need. Plus I have all of the upgrades. My gauntlet. So everything's already done. It's just getting through the rest of the missions and unlocking more XP.
Reynardo was face to face with the Emperor's bodyguard. They looked very tough, but the Emperor held them back.
Oh, where's my daughter?
And how would I know that? Reynardo grinned at him.
She lured me here so that you could kill me, didn't she?
Ah, don't be ridiculous, said Reynardo, trying his best to sound convincing. She loves you.
Oh, I knew it. The rabbit told me I couldn't trust her.
The Emperor hopped out the door. His phalanx of bodyguards retreated carefully. Reynardo heard someone call, "Arrest her!" as they left. Well, that's a job well done, thought Reynardo. Now the fleet will be in all sorts of disarray. But maybe he could find her in the mountains. She always used to go to the mountains to hide from the world. Maybe he could even turn her against her father. Or maybe he could reap the benefits of the chaos he had sown. It was time to report to the Rebel Council, and then launch the attack on a divided and very confused Imperial fleet.
We are gonna go see the council.
Reynardo was very proud of himself. He'd told the Empire everything, but now they didn't believe anything, and it looked like the Emperor didn't trust his daughter anymore either. There were some advantages to having a slippery reputation, weren't there?
The gem. What's the gem?
Reynardo wondered if he'd really fooled the Empire. He guessed he'd know soon enough. If the skies darkened with 1,000 dropships, then he'd know the Empire believed his map at the Rebel base's secret location. They certainly seemed to be looking for it. There were ravens everywhere. But where weren't there ravens these days?
So true. Ravens are everywhere.
He thought about Hypatia. Oh, she'd been an amazing rabbit. She could talk to him about comics, and talk to her son about history and battles, and talk to scholars about the ancient tomes hidden deep in the vaults
So
of the library of
Hypatia
Ubar.
was the original
Oh, Reynardo really missed her.
mother of the rabbit. that you were chasing at the very beginning, and the rabbit's name is Peter, her son. Well, Peter Rabbit died. He got vaporized. I think that's in like one of the Grimm Fable Tales. Pretty sure it is. Got vaporized by some
The
ravens.
Emperor would attack Zenobia.
It's about the same.
The ravens, divided into two armies, would slaughter each other. Then the rebellion could just show up and claim victory. The council would be overjoyed that Renata had given away all their secrets. See? It was actually very fine weather, except for the occasional shower of ravens. And no one was burning the ruins down with the mighty power of a god's eye. If the Empire believes anything he'd said, they certainly weren't showing it. These things really slice like ham.
So we've been getting... We got a bunch of movies, and I think I've talked about a few of them on stream a little bit before. But with the movies, I also got seasons 1 through 4 of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z. So, like, the very start with, you know, Gohan and Goku and Piccolo and Raditz, the whole thing.
The long stairs.
There's a lot of it that I didn't
So he was
remember.
close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire.
One of the things was, like, okay, Gohan is 4 years old whenever this whole thing happens.
It's like having a
And
goblin.
then, you know, Piccolo becomes his new dad. And then, you know, he takes some training and everything. Well, during the 6 months where he's supposed to be, like, learning how to fight or survive, there were 2 instances where he's basically either let something die or he's killed something as a result of him not making a decision or being basically a whiny crybaby because he is 4 years old. The first one was this Capsule Corp robot that was just kind of like trapped in a cave that he came across, and he couldn't get out because he didn't know he could like
As he
jump.
told his hilarious adventures to the rebel council,
So
he began to realize they weren't laughing.
the robot
Just
eventually
staring at
decides
him
to
with
help
those
him because
big
he
bug
takes
eyes.
pity on him.
Zenobia, let you
But
escape.
Gohan cries so much.
Asked the speaker.
I'll let this
How
go.
do we know you're not a double agent?
Then I wouldn't tell you about her at all. Maybe you're trying to sound like an idiot, so we don't realize how clever you are, croaked the speaker. No, I promise you, I really am that much of an idiot, Renata was about to say when a half-dozen Imperial ships began to bomb the base.
He's betrayed us!
Croaked the toads, and Renata decided it would be good to be somewhere else. He boarded the Farfarer and got out of there. The wind ruffled Renato's fur the wrong way. So, the rebels thought he was lying too? Because a half-dozen lousy dropships had probably just tripped over the rebel base? Okay, technically, he had betrayed his location, but not willingly. And he'd made up for it, hadn't he? Then, something exploded. A cannon shot. The Farfarer plunged out of the clouds. The rebels had hit his ship. As the Farfarer plummeted towards the abyss, he launched himself into the sails of an Imperial ship.
So Gohan was trapped in this cave that this Capsule Corp robot went in to look at, and well, there was a earthquake or something, and the robot got
Farfarer
trapped.
was gone.
So
It opened up
Gohan comes in
beautiful
making
ship.
all this
And
ruckus,
fast.
like crying
He could
and
do the Kestrel
yelling
run
and
in 12
talking about
furlongs.
how he wants his
That's what the
mom and
salesman told
stuff.
him.
And
He would show them. He would be the hero of
he
the
ended
final
up
battle.
causing
They'd know
the
whose
whole
side he
thing
was on
to
then.
shake.
That's
Well, as
what
it
it
shook,
meant to be a hero.
it started to fall
to go
apart.
on fighting,
And,
even when both
the
sides were trying to
robot-
kill you.
Like, basically sacrificed himself so Gohan could get out. And he throws Gohan, little baby Gohan, out the thing. So he's all sad and stuff, and he goes back and he sees the robot. The robot's just like destroyed. And he sit there and he's crying, being, a 4-year-old. It's like, oh man, that's pretty tough. I didn't realize that.
Portal that led right
It was
to the
something I
middle
just
of the
did not remember from watching the original series. And so, they continued with the episodes because it had as a marathon feature. And I think I watched another one after that. And Gohan's in this cave. He's starting to get a little bit more confidence. He's hunting. He's fishing. Catches this huge fish. Gets all this stuff. And, he's starting to get the hang of taking care of himself. And there is this thing that eats all his berries in the middle of the night.
This device you can
Well, it turns
travel
out it's
at
just like
night, so long as there are ravens to set on
dinosaur,
fire.
like a herbivore. And, he chases Gohan out, and there's a stick in his neck, so Gohan takes it out, and fixes the guy up, and all this other stuff. So he's like, I'm gonna go find you dinner, and, blah, blah, blah. Well, here comes this huge T-Rex, and
See?
it starts, trying
Rebels
to
are
eat this
fighting
other
ravens
dinosaur.
everywhere, and not
And,
a single weapon in sight.
Gohan
No
tries to
one
defend it,
giant
and just
murder
fails.
bears out of the tire. There were no locusts,
And
no
this
ring of
dinosaur
fire.
dies.
Something
It's
blew
like,
up nearby.
oh,
Bernardo
man.
decided it was not time to
This
stop
is
and
like-
ponder. Just
This
as
is
well.
rough for
He liked
it's not really a
acting much
child's
better than
cartoon.
pondering.
It's still pretty rough. I never remembered any of that whenever I was a kid. All I remember was
Building these
Goku getting on
platforms was
Snake
so
Way,
expensive. They'd
falling
run out of
into
budget
hell.
for guardrails.
and then basically getting out of it somehow. But that's it. I don't remember any of the stuff that happened to Gohan, or anything that went down with him and Piccolo. Besides the whole Uzuru and blowing up the moon with having no effect at all on the planet. So it's what I've been trying to get through the last few weeks, I guess. Some good stuff. I mean, it still has the original anime feel to it. There's actually blood in this. It's not like the Kai version where there's no blood. Goku actually had a huge hole in his chest from the special beam cannon, but he was still able to talk and conversate and all this stuff. It was pretty strange. Something attacked me. I don't think that was the whole thing. It did dash.
Finally, Renato reached the Emperor's ship, and there he saw a strange sight. Zenobia being led in shackles by Lapino with a squad of ravens. What? Lapino was working with the ravens? Was he some sort of traitor? Of course Lapino was working with the ravens. But the Emperor still thought Zenobia was a traitor? Renato felt oddly bad about that. Should he run down there and rescue her? Oh, but she was the enemy. Then he heard a whistling sound. He looked straight up and saw a rebel ship. It was dropping rather large bombs. One of them kept getting bigger as it fell. Huh? Oh.
And he was dead again. So, story number 1 complete. I'm going to do the same thing that I have done every time I finish a story. I'm going to drop the stream, start it right back up. That way, we can get a definitive endpoint, for the YouTube videos, because I have 0 editing equipment. So, be back in 2 seconds.